How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of the Nick of Time podcast. We have a great one for you. We're going to be talking about overcoming challenges in life, different types of anxiety, new environments, and also quitting bad habits. We have a very special guest for you today, a close friend of mine. We're stationed together in Turkey. He goes by the name of Eddie Gomez. Great man, family man, just a well-rounded person, and yeah, I'm excited to share this kind of information with you. Eddie, the floor is yours.
Hey, what's up, guys? Like you said, I'm Eddie. We met in Incirlik, from California, Los Angeles, raised, and then moved over to Riverside. Again, met Nick out in Turkey. Um, Great dude, clicked pretty much immediately. Definitely held it down together while we were there. Kept each other in check. But that's me. I guess you'll find out more as we continue.
Sure will. And just to all my Texas friends out there, he is religious on In and Out over Whataburger. I don't really get into that kind of beef because it's just like silly to me. But Whataburger is the spot at midnight or whenever you leave, wherever you're going, to get a good fast food, um, a good fast
No,
food place
not a
for
lot
when
of
you
things we
have those
disagree on, but that's definitely
when you
one of
have those
them.
late night munchies. No, I'm
Yeah.
just playing. But yeah, so I just want to get into on the whole catch up thing, man. How you been, bro? How's life? How's the fam?
Good, man. Just adjusting here. It's definitely different. Um, it's definitely, like you said, middle of nowhere, Oklahoma. Definitely new. Coming from big city like LA, and then to Riverside, and then getting stationed out in Phoenix, and then Turkey with you, and then coming to literally maybe a 5 mile radius city. So it's definitely a lot different. But the getting here in the unit, it's definitely been pretty cool. My leadership, they trusted me from the get. So taking on different roles, taking on leadership positions. So it's definitely been a quick turnaround from Turkey, but it's definitely helped me out and set me out on the right path right here.
Awesome, love to hear it. So I guess I wanna know some things about as far as like you said, you go from LA to Phoenix, right? You're in Phoenix a while in the military. Then you go to Turkey, which is like a whole different world in its own, and then to like small town Oklahoma. What are some, I guess, pros and cons to both the big city and the small city? And something that like you probably didn't expect that you actually enjoy.
Right. So obviously, small city, small town. It was a little nerve wracking coming here, middle of Oklahoma. It was during the whole, election time. So we won't get into all that, but it was definitely, I was like kind of iffy about it. But, big city, you have more places to go, more places to see. You can take the kids out more. You can take them out, to the zoo. And here we have to drive either to Dallas, which is 3 hours away, or OKC, which is also 2.5, 3 hours away. Um, but definitely one of the pros is the family environment. I would say, just because we can't go out, I guess we have to stay together. So we really, getting soccer started here with my daughter was really important. Um, it definitely brought people from the base, a bunch of officers were working there or playing there with their kids, to just the community people that have their kids there. So it's definitely everybody kind of knows each other. So obviously, as you get here as a new person, kind of stand out. And obviously, when you look like you're from the city, people are going to notice that you're from the city. Um, but other than that, I mean, just the close knitness of the community here, just how small it is definitely a lot different than walking down the streets of a big city where everybody's kind of just doing their own thing, speeding in their own lane, and trying to get to where they're going. So
For
pros and cons. So, I
sure.
mean, the cons obviously not having that much to do, having a Walmart as our biggest store. So no Starbucks either. So, but there is a nice little cafe here. It's pretty nice. So that's
Uh,
the biggest pros and cons.
That's awesome. I think a lot of people wouldn't survive without that Starbucks. You know what I mean?
Okay, my wife, you telling me? So,
Already. Well, I want to talk about for all the people out there that aren't in the military, and even the people that are in the military that maybe have gotten bases or locations that they've always wanted, or at least decent ones to where, they had a lot of things accessible to them. I just want to talk about how environments can really, I guess we tend to think they dictate happiness. Now, don't get me wrong, like there's certain places that are worse than others, and you would prefer to be somewhere else. But I think in the military, a lot of times when you're forced on these places, you really do a good job of making the most out of it. And I
definitely,
think I think a lot of people don't get put in those situations. So then they don't have to. So they always think like, whoa, well, if I do this, like I'll be good. Like, everything, all my problems, everything's gonna go away.
yeah.
Like no, problems are still problems.
Yeah,
So whether
can't
you're
run
in
away
the
from everything.
Bahamas,
Yeah,
whether you're in the Bahamas or you're in the middle of Oklahoma, you
no,
know.
for sure, for sure.
And yeah, I just wanted to share. I touched on this a little bit, I think, episode 2. Um, but I remember being in Germany, wanting to go to Texas. I was not fed up with overseas, but I had just traveled. I've done a lot of stuff, and I was like, I wanted that stability. I wanted to come back to the States. And for the people out there who don't know, aren't in the Air Force, there's like basic preferences. So if you go to like a short tour, like Turkey, Korea, Greenland, um, you get a base preference and basically get priority on where you want to go to next. So when I was in Germany, I was like, well, I really want to go to Texas, but I didn't want to just roll the dice and see where the cards fell. So I decided, let me put all these short tours. Turkey was at the bottom of my list, and I got Turkey. So I was like, here we go. Got there, wasn't there 2 weeks. COVID hit, and it was a really rough time. But when I look at my beginning, of that journey compared to the end of that journey, it's literally night and day. And
It
I just
was.
want to like explain to the people how a new environment sometimes, because I knew going in it was already going to be like pretty bad for the most part. I knew it wasn't going to be like the time of my life.
You
Um,
know, lockdown that the base was already in.
yeah,
Yeah,
and this is pre-COVID, so you add
yeah,
COVID onto that, and you like close everything down, so it was really terrible. But ended up finding the greatest, people out there in the world, some of the funniest people. And I couldn't even imagine I couldn't imagine that experience exactly the way it happened with COVID, with all those great people. I couldn't imagine it being any other way. So I guess it's not a specific question, but if you could just touch on, from your perspective, that environment change. I know you had another one from Turkey to Oklahoma, but that environment change from Phoenix to Turkey and how that all like just like,
no, definitely.
transpired.
Yeah, so I got back. So we'll just like start at the beginning. So I've been away from my family a couple times, deployed twice out of Luke. The last time was 2016, got back 2017. So the first time, left my wife. Um, she was pregnant with our first child. Uh, so I had that while I was gone, came back, whole new dynamic. Now I'm a dad. Now we live in a different apartment than when I left. Um, 2 years later, deploy again, head out. It's definitely a completely different environment. Went to Iraq. So that was, a lot more different because your standard of living goes down. Um, I get back, we have our son. So now I have, my wife, 2 kids, we buy a home. We're pretty settled into the community of Phoenix. Like we're like, all right, this is pretty nice. We're good. Settled in at Luke, pretty good. And then get the orders to Turkey. You know, obviously, wife doesn't like that. She knows what that means. She means dad's gonna be away for a year. So leaving them was it was a different vibe, just because I knew that I was gonna be gone for so long. You know, I've done the 6-month tour away from them. It's a lot different knowing that you're gonna be gone for a year. But I left with the mindset that we were going to be able to take, you know, that leave halfway through, and then, you know, Corona had a different plan for us. So getting to Incirlik, it's a completely different mission than Luke, so you have to adapt to that. You don't know anybody. I was fortunately, I knew 2 people there that came from Luke, and I arrived with another person from Luke. Shout out Vincent Jeter. So who ended up being my roommate. But yeah, like you said, it was a lot different at lockdown at base. You can't leave base. You're restricted to the bowling alley. You're restricted to Ambasalar. Shout out Ambasalar.
Hey, the cheesy bread was amazing.
Yeah, for real. Put that spicy on it, please. But definitely getting to know different people coming from all over the world, to Turkey. Met, you know, Dozier. Dozier was dope. I was glad you introduced me to him.
My dog.
One of the coolest guys.
Shout out to Doge.
And then of course the crew that we met, and then everybody coming in and out. You know, it's such a high tempo of people leaving. You make friends and then they're out. So COVID definitely put a strain on that, but it definitely brought us all together with Camp Corona. That's a whole different. That we need like a day of a podcast for that. I don't think that's enough time.
We weren't even in it together. That's the crazy part. Everyone was kind of split up.
Yeah. You were there for so you were there for a while, and I didn't even meet you until after. So I lost out on about a month of Nick. So
yeah,
that's a little tough, a little jealous of other people that got to experience that. But yeah, definitely changing the environment. It was just a whole new world. It went from the base just being on lockdown where you can go do stuff to, hey, you have to stay in your house. You cannot hang out with 10 more people or you're gonna die. So it was definitely weird. It was a new thing. Nobody knew what was going on. So yeah, it definitely changed a lot of things. Adjustment is a small word compared to what we had to do to adapt to what we had going on.
For sure. And I never asked you this, and
I hope that answered the question. I know I kind of
no, yeah, for sure. No, this is a rambling podcast. I love it, definitely. So I know we've had this conversation, but I guess I never really asked you in depth. So like, was it because times got worse, so we all came together? In a sense of, I remember you telling me when we finally like were able to like legitimately become friends. You said, you know, like this place was pretty good before you got here, but it's like now it's a lot better. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything like that.
No.
But I think as a unit, or as a unit, as a group of friends, uh, I know this has a factor in it. It was like, oh, like times got even worse than they already were. But what do you think?
For sure.
What do you think that transition was to where it's like, hey, like we got this, you know? Because you were there months before I was.
Yeah. So I think what changed, obviously, COVID changed everything. But before that, it was mostly everybody had kind of that mentality, like I'm here for a year. And I get to dip out and go to a dream base overseas that I've been wanting to go to, or I get to go home, or that, you know, because you're there for, you know, you have your 1 month, kind of your first month there, you're in processing, you're learning the job. You can't go out to work because you're not certified to do it, not cleared to do it yet. So you spend about 1 month doing that. Then you spend about 4 months, 5 months doing the actual job. And right when you get proficient at it, you're like, all right, deuces, I'm going on leave. And now you're gone for another 30 days. So you lose out on 1 month. So we're at what, 5, 6 months there. You get back and then you have maybe 3-4 months left before you have to start completely out processing. You're off of work, and then you're out to a whole new base, whole new world, whole new environment. And then COVID said, nope, you guys are not doing that. So what, for me personally, what we had originally planned was I was going to take leave. I got there in October. I was going to take leave around April, May for my wife's birthday. And then we kind of changed it. We pushed it back, or it was end of March, April. I was going to take the leave. And then we pushed it back to kind of not confuse the kids, like dad's home and then dad's gone again. And so we kind of like split it in half, do a big chunk first, and then just finish it out and meet up in a whole new base in Europe, which that also changed because I'm in Oklahoma now. So COVID hit in March. That's when our leave restricted movement, Jeter again was able to get on a plane right before it hit. So he got a free 90 days of leave. Me, on the other hand, since we pushed it back, I obviously was unable to go on leave. And then we were in that window where they were talking about letting us go on leave again. And they were going to take the numbers in consideration and see how the nation and the world itself was handling COVID. So there was I believe July 1st was the deadline for that new time frame if we were going to be allowed to go on leave. So obviously I'm over here, missing my family, and everybody's kind of worried. Like, people are losing orders, people are getting held back, people are passing the report no later than dates. So it was a bit of a hectic time for everybody there, obviously, in the world. But for me personally, that July 1st deadline for the new restrictions was definitely something I was looking forward to. So when I read that letter from the Secretary of Defense and the Defense Department saying, no, you guys will not be going on leave, and knowing that I was going to be stuck there until this was over, or until we were able to do anything, it definitely was a shot to my morale. Definitely, having to make that phone call and tell them, hey, dad's not coming home, and I don't know when I'm coming home. It's definitely a heartbreaking experience. It's definitely something I don't wish on anybody, to have to tell your child that, tell your wife that, tell your family members that. It's definitely, because you have no control over it. We signed up, we did our oath, we promised the country that we do what we have to do. But sometimes that comes with a little bit of, hey, I don't want to do this because I want to see my family. So going into that, it definitely changed everything. We all kind of knew we were all stuck together, and we were all we had. So I definitely think that definitely played a part into it, where we're just like, okay, this is completely new to everybody, because we had master sergeants that had been in for 20 years and they had never experienced anything like that. So they were also going through it, and so it was up to us to all lean on each other to make sure that we didn't completely lose our minds, because at some points it got pretty dark. I ain't gonna lie about that. So being able to be there for everybody, being able to talk to somebody, they're going through one thing and you can kind of relate with them. People are stuck there. They were about to leave. They were about 5 days from the next plane, and then military said, nah, y'all can't go nowhere. So I definitely think we would have been friends. We would have been close friends because we had the same time off. We hung out together, but knowing that, hey, this is us. There's nobody coming to save us until somebody says you can leave. It's us. So I definitely think that definitely brought us even closer than we could have been.
For sure.
Yeah.
I just want to give a shout out to all the people. There's so many names I don't want to forget anybody. So all the people that were getting ready to leave and had their orders to their next base and everything, not just in our squadron but all over that base, that had to stay an extra 3 months. And it's not just 3 months. Like, if somebody told you, hey, stay another 3 months, okay, cool. It was an extra, like, hey, we don't know when you're leaving. You know what I mean? So you're just gonna have to stay a little bit longer. Who knows when that is? That is gut wrenching. And I know you had to go through that too in a different aspect. But I just want to give a shout out to all those people that did that.
Y'all went
Few
through it.
people,
We made it through.
yeah,
So.
yeah, and it helped us out a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
On from a work aspect, and friendship aspect. But I think too, how you said when you were trying to take that leave, and leave is vacation time also too for anyone that's like kind of confused. When you were trying to take that vacation time back to see the family, I remember I was just longing for friends because I think my experience was like, okay, cool, this happened. We went to Camp COVID. Yeah, everybody was nice, you know what I mean? Nobody was like not nice, but I'm still like learning my job, you know what I mean? And then I'm a brand new staff. That or at the time I was a select when I got there. So then like I'm still like trying to earn respect, you know what I mean? I'm trying to earn respect as a brand new supervisor.
Yeah, trying to find your place there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people, you know what I mean? A lot of personalities. So that was not difficult, but a challenge in itself. Um so by the time we all like came back together, it was it was weird because um so I'm just trying to get in my thoughts. It was weird because me longing for that friendship and all that stuff. There was a bunch of like already set in stone, like I guess crews, I guess you could say.
Yeah, little
So I'm
cliques
fine.
everywhere.
Yeah, so I'm finding my place, seeing where I fit in all this, and I think it just kudos to you guys for being like open arms to that, you know, because I feel like it just hit the ground running. I was just like, hey, I'm here, and a great group of friends, you know what I mean. Shout out to all those guys and girls that just kind of like said, hey, you're part of the family now, and this family isn't going anywhere, at least anytime soon,
Facts. Yeah.
you know.
Oh yeah, and then I do remember that night. We were out, getting our drink on, and then it was just one of those moments where I was just like, I knew that you weren't just a part-time friend, like this was this was a real friendship developing, and I was in that low, not being able to see my family. We just got out of Camp COVID, and we're all just trying to get along, and then I was like, all right, I click with this dude. I mess with him. He's dope dude. So it definitely eased the weight on my shoulders. So I appreciate you for that, for sure.
Thanks,
And
man.
everybody else in the crew, and every time I see a can of beer, I get that urge to just pop it, put my thumb in it. Shout out JJT.
JJT. He probably won't watch us, but we still love him anyways.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Mhm.
So that was a different environment. And also too, I just want to give a shout out to our leadership. Our master sergeants that we have were beyond, beyond great.
No, for sure.
Sergeant Gilly, Sergeant Turner, Sergeant Bear, thank you so much. If you are listening to this, I could not be more grateful for all the help that you brought. You know what I mean? Because it starts from the top, and these three gentlemen were at the top of our shift, I guess, our night shift that we
Yeah, our
worked, and
management team.
they had to pave the way to how everybody else was going to not only react but cope. And seeing the way they handled things really didn't make it easy, but really set the tone for how the rest of us were going to attack, I guess, such a gruesome, like terrible year.
So
So
nobody knew what was
just
going on. Nobody knew what was happening, and they all had their own way of taking care of us. And it was definitely, you know, it, it it really helped out. And I was actually texting Sergeant Gilly yesterday because I needed help with a package. Or I was typing a package up and just writing bullets. Um, and I was like, man, I was thinking of him, and I texted him. And I was like, yo, I'm writing this package right now, and I'm thinking of you and thinking about how insane you are at writing these bullets and packages. Because one time I was working on a
The
decoration for
deck.
one of our
Yep.
troops, and I was like, sir, I need help. And he walked in there and just it was like fire on the keyboard, man. He was just typing stuff away, and it was insane to see. And I was like, oh, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. And then so he was definitely, but yeah, Sergeant Turner, Sergeant Bear, Sergeant Gilly for sure. They all had their own way of showing us love, and whether it was tough love or just a shoulder to lean on, they definitely were there through it because they were the guiding light during a very dark time for everybody there. So
For sure. And I think while we're on this topic, that didn't even mean for it to sway this way, but I love it. And they're gonna get the love and praise that they deserve. Just on that different, avenues of how you're gonna get it. Sergeant Turner was definitely a tough love. He was gonna tell you how it is.
I
He
felt that
wasn't gonna
firsthand.
sugarcoat it. Yeah, me too. Me too. He wasn't gonna sugarcoat it. He wasn't gonna tie a bow around it. He was gonna give you the business then there direct from point A to point B, which is necessary, right? But this is why they all worked in a good like transition. And then Son Gilly, it's like almost the exact opposite, right? He's like the caregiver, the dad. He's gonna break it down. He's gonna say, okay, well, what do we need to do? How do we need to get there? And yeah, and we'll do it that way. And Sergeant Bear was definitely a good like in between, right? He was definitely your good like, hey, I'll jump on you, right? But I can also be real like laid back and real chill.
Yeah,
And
definitely
he was
jokester.
just a little bit more cultured than
Yeah,
the both of those, so it kind of
the other
helped too.
two
You
are
know what
the
I
other
mean?
two are for sure the old heads.
Yeah. So Sergeant Bear being the cultured one was definitely good on our end because when we had issues or certain things to talk about that they can relate to, he was able to like transcribe
Yeah,
all
for
that kind
sure.
of
And
stuff.
then
So
video games. He knew what we were talking about. And Sergeant Gilly tried getting into it. Uh, he held his own. But Sergeant Bear was definitely the middleman and like not in a bad way. Definitely helped us out. Translate to the OGs and be like, all right, this is what our guys are feeling. How do we take care of this?
for sure, for sure. So now more to I guess a little bit nitty gritty, same topic but just more in depth on I guess the journey. If you're willing to share, do you want to elaborate to these guys about what exactly transcribed? Because it wasn't just you, it was you, it was Gabby too. She had to go through it. Who else? Nadia, Jones had to go through it, and that was just it was so heartbreaking to even
Yeah, it was
like
tough. It was tough.
see you guys have to go through
Yeah,
the disappointment that unfortunately sometimes the way the Air Force goes, it was totally unfair, and I just I don't even know like I couldn't put that into words because that how does that not break someone's spirit if you want
yeah, for
just to
sure.
elaborate on your story?
So some people know. So like I said earlier, we were supposed to end up in Europe. Now I'm in Oklahoma. So the way the military works is if you're not medically qualified to go overseas, then they're gonna say you can't go overseas, and we'll find you somewhere to go. But it ain't here. And so I went through the process about processing. I needed one document. I had everything else done. I needed one document. My plane was following Tuesday, and medical said nope, you can't go. So leading into that or going forward from that, I had to go home and make a call. So at this point, I hadn't seen my family for I think a year. It had been over a year, like a couple days over a year, maybe 2 weeks after. So 365 days plus 2 weeks. No family, no wife, no mom, no dad, nobody, no kids, not my dogs. And I had to go home and make a call. And my wife handled it a lot better because she saw the look on my face because she knew how distraught I was. I mean, it's like distraught is pretty high up there, but I don't think it really describes what I was feeling that day. Um, and so she plays a big role in my life, and obviously she's my wife, but in this whole military game that we're in, you know, got together right out of high school, right at the end of high school, you know, been together 10 years, married for 8 or almost 8, somewhere around there. It's been a long time. You know, so she's dealt with giving birth without me by her side. She's dealt with being left alone with 2 kids without me there. She's bought a house on her own when I'm not there. She signed for it. And she still gets mad at me because I have a very long name. It's not just Eddy. And she had to sign that over and over and over and over again for that house. So I didn't want to put this weight on her to tell my daughter. My son, you know, he was about to turn 2. So he didn't really grasp it. You know, he sees me on FaceTime, Dad, and then be like, all right, deuces, I'm gonna go play and watch Paw Patrol. But my daughter, you know, she was a little older. She was a 4 or 5. So she kind of understood, like, hey, Dad's been gone a lot. Where is this dude? And you know, just like any other dad with their daughter, it's definitely a lot closer relationship. You know, she has me wrapped around her finger. So for me to take that weight from my wife was just one thing that I did not mind doing, no matter how hard it was going to hurt. So yeah, so I know I get on the phone with my daughter, and you know, I tell her, and it's immediate tears, my tears, her tears, and you know, you can't do anything other than you know, apologize. You know, at that point, words don't really mean much. You've been gone for over a year. You know, you don't really prepare for that moment where you have to tell them, like, hey, I'm not coming back, and it's going to be a little bit, and we're also not going to Europe. So we got that. And then there's that that moment where, or that time frame where the uncertainty of where I'm going to go, because I didn't know, because all I knew is my orders were canceled, and that was it. And it was up to the Air Force gods to see where they needed me. And about a couple weeks later, you know, I go and check in, like, hey, where are my orders at? I was supposed to be getting orders. And we call over to, you know, I'm not gonna bag on them, but we call over to MPF, and they're just like, what orders are you talking about, bro? And you know, now it's, you know, now I'm at a year and a month away from my family. So now it's kind of getting, I'm like, yo, like, now now you're playing with me. And they ended up figuring it out. You know, a chief had to make a call, which is never a good thing. But chief had to make a call. Got done, got taken care of. Sergeant Gilly was also there to help me out through that process, to get in touch with another chief and be like, yo, we got to figure this out. This guy needs to go. So yeah, so then I get that email, and I see an all familiar squadron number, and I'm like, I've seen this before. And so hop on Google real quick, and I type in 97 SFS, and Altus, Oklahoma pops up. So, but during that time when it was dark, where I didn't know where I was going, where my orders were canceled, you guys definitely came and picked me up, and were like, yo, like, it sucks, we get it, you know, but you're gonna get to see your family. And at that time, it was very one of those like moments where I was just like, they don't deserve this. You know, you start thinking about, like, you know, they're better off without you. You start getting into like a dark spot. You never want to fall into that. I unfortunately did, but it was for a very, very brief moment. And I definitely thank you guys for getting me out of that, for letting me see, like, hey, you know, it's not that bad. At least, you know, you're gonna get to go home. You're almost there. You know, it's just another couple weeks, and getting pulled through that is definitely where you need to latch on to people, whether it's going out for breakfast beers or getting a text telling you to hop on Warzone and get murdered a lot on the kids. That Turkish Wi-Fi is not the business, and I also was not the best player. Um, but yeah,
Solid
and then
now though.
we got through that time, and then I ended up leaving, and that was tough because now it was a completely new venture that we were going on. Um, my son was 3 now. Um, he was talking a lot more. Can't really understand him yet, but he was talking a lot more. I had been gone for, I think we counted it, and it was 445 days. That's a crazy number to be away from family, to be away from everything that you know. Um, but getting to that point, like, hey, we're going to Oklahoma. So now we're going from the city. Now we're going to a small town. Okay, I'm leaving all my friends that I just made, that just became so close with. I'm leaving that environment. I'm leaving from the environment where I was able to, if there was nothing going on, I could just hop on a video game and just do that and spend hours. But now I had to go home. I had to be a husband. Had to be a dad, and then I had to learn a whole new job here. And so I had to take everything that I learned from you guys. I let Sergeant Gilly know this the other day too. Like I took everything that they taught me and kind of just threw it on my shoulders, and it was like, all right, it's time to settle down. Let's do this. It was definitely a lot different though. But yeah, I mean, getting through that point is definitely hard, and you definitely need people to grab onto and carry you through.
For sure. So 445 days. Just to put that in perspective, guys, we were on a base. I fortunately enough only did my year. I did 365, but I'd say what from where we actually like lived, I wouldn't say worked. Maybe it's 10-mile radius, if that, right?
Yeah,
For 445 days.
and that's just
And
work. That our living environment is maybe 3 miles.
yeah, if that.
Everybody lives in that little circle, so
Exactly. And it was a long journey, especially for my man Eddie. And I would just want to thank you for sharing that because I remember those days, especially when sitting next to you and you have to like check the computer to see, your orders being canceled, and then being next to you to see, oh, you got orders and it's to Oklahoma, and all those heart-wrenching conversations. I really just wanted to say I'm so proud of you, and I want to let everybody else out there know that like when we talking about this new environment, that's why I like this topic so much. It, it was something that none of us, especially you in this case, got to choose, and the people around you. And that's why your environment, your circle is so important because the people around you are gonna recognize that, hey, we got you, and there was nothing I can do or Tarby or anybody else could have done, right, to put you in the mood of like, hey, here's your family. There was nothing anybody could have done. But right, what we did in the meantime was say, hey, like we got your back. You know what I mean? We're in your corner. Now you're not gonna win the fight because it's still gonna kick your ass, right? You're still gonna be down and out, but you're not gonna stay on the ground. You know, we're not gonna let that happen. And I look back at those times because I was going through it, and I'm still going through it. But I look back at those times and I think like, wow, like I just think God really put like the smash of people in each other's lives at the perfect time, at the perfect moment to be able to survive something like that. Because like you said, I'm
it's
sure
a
it
great
got
mixture.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a great mixture of people. And we all brought our own little thing to the table, like humor wise, advice wise, experience wise, just different. It was a very good cocktail of people that were put together. Um,
And I also want to say this about new environments because I remember giving my niece some advice because she had graduated high school in 2019. Yeah, she did. And that was when I was leaving Germany. So, I mean, most people know from previous podcasts, if you can recall, I've been to a lot of different places in a short amount of time. Boom, I got sent to Korea, first base for a year. Got sent to Germany. I was there for 6 months. Got sent to Africa. Came back from Africa. I was in Germany probably another year. Boom, got sent to Turkey. Excuse me. I was in Turkey for a year, and then now I'm in San Antonio. But it was a lot of a pick everything up and go, pick everything
Yeah,
up and go. And what people don't realize is throughout that whole entire time, there's a bunch of Eddies, you know what I mean, and Tarbies and Choppas and Queen and Cheyenne and a bunch of friends, right? That you meet along the way that are lifelong friends, and having to just say, "Hey, deuces," you know what I mean? Like that is
yeah, it's tough.
that's not
It's tough to,
normal,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, it's not something people do every day, and it's just one of those things. And all we can really do is, give that last hug and tag each other in memes and send each other dumb videos as we're
Yeah,
away
for
from each
sure.
other. It's like we're something to remind each other of. We see it, and then we're like, oh, you pop into my head, and I'm like, he'll laugh at this. This is something
Yeah,
that we find humorous, and yeah,
because there's a lot of people, especially while we're in Turkey at the terminal, and say those goodbyes. But the worst one, so obviously when I had to say goodbye to Gabby, and then like it was like a 1-2 punch combo, right? So I had to say goodbye to her, then I had to say goodbye to you, and that was like, ugh, like I couldn't even like deal with the
back to
emotions when
back,
it
you
came
got the
to
Drake on, yeah.
that.
Mm.
Yeah, that was a really rough time, super rough. And then it was like holiday time because y'all left in December, so
Yeah.
it was even worse. But I say this because like this was even before Turkey. I was giving my niece advice, right? Because she had graduated high school back in 2019, and I told her, I said, hey, because she was talking about going to Houston, is where she really wanted to go. And I said, hey, that's cool. And this advice is for everyone out there that maybe has not been in other places, right? At least like living, right? And they're thinking about it. Um, just take this into consideration. I was like, do not think that your location is gonna fix everything. It's really not. Now it might help and it might get you to where you're trying to go next. So I'm not telling anybody to shy away from doing what they're trying to do, especially if they're trying to get out of a hometown that may be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, nothing left for you there. But
Yeah.
just don't go into the mindset where that's gonna fix all your problems, because problems are gonna be problems no matter where you are. And I know I've said this earlier, but I'm gonna hype on it because I never forget getting to Korea. I did not want to go to Korea. Why? Because I was straight out of high school. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm going on literally as far away as I could possibly go. You know, it was like an 18-hour flight. I'll never forget. It was the worst.
Yeah.
And then when I got to Korea, like you
Just
say, you
leaving
get settled,
everything.
you make these friends, and it's like I was so sad. I was like, going to Germany, because that's where I wanted to go, And then you get to Germany, and then it's like, dude, I miss Korea. And then it took a while for me to acclimate into
Mhm.
Germany, et cetera, et cetera. So just for my people out there, if you're in a tight position, just know that location isn't everything. It's important, right? But it's not everything. So yeah, that's
And it takes a lot to move away. It takes a lot to pick everything and leave everything that and now adjust to a completely whole new place. And
for
definitely
sure.
takes a lot.
Okay, so challenges. Guess the next topic. That new environment topic lasted longer than expected, but that is okay because I'm loving it. I think this podcast it's going great. So any challenges you would say recently that you've been facing that not so much like you want to talk about, but that like you think that you're going through that could probably help um all the viewers and listeners out there.
Oh, definitely. New job, whole new title, whole new position, and then also coming home. Coming home is adjustment period is different. You've been away. Mom's been being a mom by herself. She's been doing her own thing, and now you come into the picture and you try setting your rules. And thankfully we had the 2 deployments under our belts to where we could both like, okay, I can't just get here and be, the hard ass that I am with the kids sometimes. So, I mean, adjusting to that's definitely overcoming that, getting with her, getting on the same program with her. And then getting to this new job was definitely a lot different. I had my medical issues that were going on. So I didn't really know where my career was really at this point. When I first got here, I didn't know if this was going to be one of those things where it brings a light on you in a negative way. So I was kind of nervous of that. And then just getting used to here. I mean, everything, I don't want to relate it back to new environments, but it's definitely one of those challenges. But like I said, I took what Sergeant Turner and Bear and Gilly put on me, and how they trusted me and how they believed in the person that I was. And I kind of took that here, and I asked a lot of whys. We got a new chief, which is the highest ranking enlisted person for my unit. And we had a meeting with him, and I just kept asking why. And it was one of those things that he was just like, hey, keep asking why. Keep saying no. And keep saying, why are we doing this? This is a dumb way of doing things. Why are we doing it this way? And I mean, I'm a little outspoken. When I see something dumb and I think it's dumb, I'm gonna say it's dumb, and I don't want to do it. And obviously we go about it in a professional manner, tactfully. But my new leadership here saw that, and he kind of, I had been a BDOT controller, which is like a 911 controller. It is the simplest term for y'all to understand. Mm-hmm. But just in charge of the base security. And he was like, you know what? He's like, you've done that. You know what you're doing there. Let's put you in the flight sergeant role. And at this point here, there's just tech sergeants, which is one rank above me. And it's their position to fill. It's what their rank is equal to is that the duty title. And he was like, as a staff sergeant, I think that you're able to take this on, and I trust you to run with it. And so there comes those challenges of now I don't have just the people that are, 1 or 2 people assigned to me. Now I have, 10, 12 people assigned to me that I have to make sure that they're good to go at work, good to go at home, good to go with school. And it's definitely been a learning curve. I've definitely leaned on the tech sergeants that I trust here to ask why, to ask those questions of, am I doing this right? Am I missing this? And just as simple little things as yesterday, we had a training day. What I'm used to when we have training with weapons is you just show up to the Army and you're like, hey, I'm training, and they give you your weapon. But here it's a little different. They want training or Army rosters. And so my group of people shows up, and they're at the armory trying to get their guns, and everybody's like, where's the Army roster? So that was one of those things that I learned. I was like, oh, I got to do this. And it's just one of those things of overcoming challenges is really one of those things where you just got to find people to lean on. Sometimes it's going to be you and only you and just you. But if you're able to latch onto somebody, then do it. But yeah, just getting adjusted is one of those things of just growing and trying to be confident in what you're doing. If someone puts you in the positions because they trust you there, and just if they put you there for that reason, you're able to ask them questions. So that's why they're there for. That's what they're there for.
For sure. Yeah, man. So being put in that position, I mean, I can only imagine it's different, but I feel like you've always been operating on that level regardless, just because of like the amount of work and care that you put in. So yeah, I'm super proud of you on that. Challenges I'm going through with.
Yeah,
obviously,
you're going through a whole new thing. You're a new homeowner, so congrats on that again. Hope you're enjoying the trash can I got you. So,
but yeah, man, that was super genuine. When I got it, I was so excited. And it came like super fast. By the way, I was
Yeah,
just
it
like,
wasn't
what
supposed to
is
be
that?
there for like the 3 extra days after you got it.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that you got it so fast.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, the home is definitely a challenge in itself, good and bad, I want to say fridge like went out like the first week, you know what I mean? I had some dryer issues that I had to deal with, and it's different because it's like it all falls back to me at the end
yeah,
of the day,
yeah, definitely. It's gonna hit your pocket. Nobody else has to pay for it. So yeah,
Yeah. And yeah, so that's different. Obviously work is different being at a ATC base, so a training base. Um that's different, but just because the way it's operated and it's JBSA, that like leeway of like what can and can't be done is just a little bit different, because there's a lot more hoops and stuff you got to jump through. So that was different. And then being stateside too is excuse me, is different as well. They always say, and I knew it, right? I've been overseas, but like, yeah, stateside is like a lot different as far as like people being tight knit and whatnot. And I understood that, but I wanted to come back to Texas because I wanted a home, I wanted stability, I wanted a bunch of that that I hadn't experienced, in the past 5, 6 years. So I'm here now, and really, and I know I'm not because I have, my sister's still in San Antonio. I got family down here. I have great coworkers. Shout out to them. Very great coworkers, and obviously I have you guys. That I always reach out to. But I think this journey has been very I wouldn't say lonely, because lonely is not the right word. It has been very dark.
oh, okay, or dark. We could go there too.
Yeah. Independent. Yeah, independent too, but dark, not necessarily in a negative way, but still dark. You know what I mean? Because I feel like every decision I make uh only affects me, but at the end of the day, that's not who I am. You know what I mean? Like I want to make decisions that affect other people, and it's
Mhm.
put me in a place of like uh I guess like I couldn't even explain it. It's put me in a weird place, and I think that's why one reason why I started this podcast. It's because I just had this urge, you know what I mean, to want to help
Yeah, you want to
people.
be creative and reach out and make sure
Yeah,
that you're impacting other people and doing your things. That's who you are. I think that's one of the things that did draw people to you, that draws people to you, is one of those things that you want to reach out, and you don't want to be selfish with everything. Like this is mine, this is mine. You're just like, no, like I want to share this love and happiness with everybody.
yeah, for sure. And I think I haven't been able to do that at all since I've been back. And or at least like since um certain things transpired in my life. Um but on the other side of that, it's like you said, like when you got the bad news and then like we're here to pick you up. I think I really um have been doing a good job, and I found like my faith. You know what I mean? Like that has came back into my life because growing up, my mom's gonna cut my throat for this, but growing up
Don't hurt a mama dukes.
yeah, growing up Catholic, right? Um, it was always like we're going to church, we're going to church, we're going to church, and I never asked like why. Well, why we're going because we have to. You know what I mean? I never stopped believing in God, but I always like it was just something that was always just like forced onto my life.
Yeah.
So when I left for the military, obviously 19, 20 in Korea and in Germany, you're traveling, doing all this stuff, moving, right, meeting a lot of good people. You lose sight of what's actually important. And I think now that I came back and I got a lot of more stability and I got a lot more time with myself and my own thoughts.
Kind of grounded.
It grounded me, but it also humbled me because I thought I was this guy that was always able to, the Goggins, which I still use him and I still have, part of me in that. But the David Goggins, like, get up, be fearless, you know what I mean? Get after it, stay hard, all this stuff. And a part of me is that. But I think I was just so down and out. Like I really was down and out and still fighting through that, like on the daily, that I realized that I was only making it through my day to day, not by off my own power, but by something greater than me. And I've always believed in God, and I knew that it was Him doing that work. So like yeah, so I started going to church with my sister, which is really good, and it's just something that I've been longing for a very long time, because dude, I've expressed this to you. I didn't realize how weak, and not weak as in like I'm not comparing myself to other people. I'm saying weak as in what I thought of myself. You know what I mean? A year ago, or even 2 years ago, compared to what I think of myself now. Like I was already a humbled person, at least when it came to other people. You know what I mean? I try not to showboat or any of that, but I was humbled in my strength as a human being, definitely in these past few months. And to share that with everybody, my biggest thing is humility. Like if you're able to really make yourself vulnerable and have that humility to say, hey, like this is what it is, and I'm doing all I can. I think that's the first step into just, one, being a better person, two, getting through whatever you're going through, and three, just sharing that information for the next person, to pass down that knowledge, that wisdom.
Yeah, I think that takes a lot, just because coming from a Hispanic background, you have that macho mentality. You coming from your biracial background, same thing. Strong men don't show their weakness, but it's being vulnerable is one of the most important things that you can do, because you need to allow people in so that they can get you out.
For
so
sure.
It's definitely one of those things.
And I think for all those people that might be stuck in those macho ways, hey, like, do checkups, like, hey, scale 1 to 10, man, how you been? If you ask me, I'd say like I'm at like a 6, and I'm working. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make my way towards better. So those checkups are important, because you never know what somebody's going through and the battles they're struggling with.
For sure.
Speaking of battles, I just wanted to elaborate on different kinds of anxieties, because that's really important. And I know a lot of people out there are struggling with it. And I promise you, hey, if you ever ask me, I'll shoot prayers your way. Because that's something that can overtake us. Like you said, when you were in Turkey, you went to a dark place, and there's different kinds of anxieties. There's separation anxiety, there's phobia anxiety, there's social anxiety, there's panic anxiety, there's agoraphobia anxiety, which is like, when you're like stuck in two different positions and trying to figure it out. And then there's general, just like anxiety itself. Do you want to elaborate on any times you thought that, like, hey, I mean, I'm sure in Turkey you've already said that, but any other times you think that you're just like really like had a high form of anxiety, and you were and what you did to get out of that?
Yeah, I mean, like, just pretty much it's all going to entail back to our original topic, but I mean, you have your, the first day of basic, you are literally by yourself. There's nobody else there to take care of you. So you have that anxiety. And like you said, it just varies. You know, getting to a new place, brand new at your job, and everybody is looking at you to see what kind of person you're going to be in the unit. So you have that anxiety of pressure of everybody looking at you, and then yeah, I mean, even with everything that happened, everything that transpired over in Turkey, I mean, there was one time it was like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning here for my wife, and it's mid-afternoon, and I'm sitting there playing a video game, trying to relax, and it just feels like something is grabbing the back of my head, and I can't breathe, and I have no idea what's going on, and my wife won't mind, but she deals with her anxiety stuff as well, so I kind of knew like I have to call her because I don't know what's going on right now. So yeah, so I FaceTimed her right away, and I was like, I don't know what's going on right now. I can't breathe. There's a lot of pressure on the back of my neck, back of my head, and it's just. And she was like, "You're having a panic attack," and I was just like, "Okay, what do I do?" So you kind of just gotta ground yourself, you know. But it's one of those things that you, um, you get put into that position, or you get put into a certain point in time, and you kind of just have to be like, I'm here for a reason. I'm here for a purpose. People believe in me and where I'm at, because there is that. Sometimes you do get that imposter syndrome, and you feel like, what am I doing here? Who am I? I'm some random kid from Riverside, California. Like I shouldn't be here, and you kind of just have to be like, you know what? This is where I'm supposed to be. So it's just one of those things that you get. It's hard to do sometimes on your own, but to ground yourself like you're saying you're doing. I'm happy that you found your spot or your place in your faith. I'm personally not there yet, but that's my own thing. Definitely my upbringing is different, but
Yeah, for sure.
But it's just one of those things. I mean, if you're able to find something that relaxes you, or kind of makes the world go away, it's not going to make your problems go away, but it made for that moment in time. It's just you and whatever you're doing, whether that's exercising, which is awesome, especially what you're doing with your guys over there, having them work out, posting them on Instagram to get like Sadio, get them up there, get them shredded, get them ripped, get them fit, just because that does play into your mind. That does probably, like, as much as we'd like to think that it doesn't, the sun is there for a reason. The fresh air is out there for you to breathe, and you're human, so it's going to relieve your anxiety. I find my peace in video games, which is something that you guys brought to me, because I hadn't played a shooter game since like 2013, 2014, in the last Halo, and so it's one of the ways I release my anxiety. I kind of forget about everything that's going on, ignore my phone that keeps going off, because apparently flight sergeants don't have time off ever. And then just day to day, I love my kids. I wouldn't trade them for anything in the world. But oh man, sometimes if I could punt something, I think it'd be one of them sometimes. But obviously we wouldn't do that. But for sure, I mean, if dealing with anxiety is something new to me, because again, back to upbringing, macho, like men don't feel this, men don't have emotions, men don't cry, men, so you kind of bottle that in. And my wife's been pretty good at telling me, like, hey, if you need to let it out, or if you need to go away and go get something, go get a beer by yourself or something, do that. So I mean, if you're able to find that for yourself, then you've done that with your faith, you've done that with working out. So I mean, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's probably the same for you, but I definitely probably cried more in the last year than I have in my entire life.
Yeah, 2020 was the year of tears for sure. For sure.
Yeah, it definitely was. And yeah, and I think with my anxiety, and because I think everybody has it. Obviously, there's different levels, different extents to it, but Uh, yeah, mine. I think I think mine is like a backlash of all of last year, right? So most of my troubles are within the past 6 months, to be honest, and just because there's a lot going on, you know what I mean? In my life, a lot changed drastically, and it used to be, like I can help people, and I was able to directly do that, and I still do that, and a lot of my subordinates know, like, if they ever needed anything, I got them, and I'm always there for them, and I'm always trying to help out. But I think these past 6 months was a lot more difficult because I'm still trying to gather like all the stuff I got. And then it was just overwhelming from everything from last year. And it was like just like too much weight to where there was days these past 6 months where I'd wake up and I couldn't breathe, you know? And you're talking a person that's never had to go through that kind of
And it's
thing. It
scary.
was
It's scary because you don't know what's going on.
yeah. And especially as a man, it's like, well, who if I tell somebody this, like, okay, then what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, what are we fixing? And it's good to have those conversations, and not try to bottle all that in. So to all uh, my fellas out there and ladies, hey, I know you're going through it, and we all got our issues. So just know you're not alone, and there's always someone to talk to. And to those people that maybe won't talk, I encourage good friends out there to maybe try to, peel back those onions as much as you can, because in the end, it's gonna do more good than it will do negative, because it shows that you care, and that careness can go a long way. But my big like stress relief, like for all this stuff, is jamming out, and obviously since I'm back into my faith, I'm really trying to make that a lot more Christian music, for sure. Gospel. Kurt Franklin has been the man. Don't get me wrong, I'm still light skinned. I'll
Mhm.
bump my Drake. I'll bump my Drake and all that stuff from time to time.
And that
Sure, I
Billy.
listen. Yeah, that Billy Currington. Oh, as a matter of fact, dude, he was in town and I wanted to go see him. But I was just like, it was nobody that I had to go with, so it was just like I just passed on it. I ended up going back to Odessa, to the hometown, to see my grandmother. It was bad timing, but I wanted to go so bad, and I was just like, I was like, all those great people um in that time in Turkey. Thinking about that, yeah. So do you want to elaborate? So he's talking about Billy Currington. For you guys that don't know, Billy Currington is a country singer. He is not popping now as much as he was back in the mid 2000s. But do you want to elaborate on how how we got literally the whole crew to be able to two step in the middle of the living room? Never forget that.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. Billy, who don't would come on, or pretty good at drinking beer, was typically around
Let me down
beer pong.
easy.
Yeah, beer pong time was
Yeah.
definitely pretty good at drinking beer. And then once we were like, all right, let's let's have Coach Nick show us how to step out here. And so then it just turned one of those things where if Billy Currington was on, it was just like, all right, let's get to stepping over here. Uh,
Yeah.
and so it was just one of those cheers that we had. Billy,
Yeah, it
let's
was
go
so it was
thumb
so
punch some beers and get it going.
yeah, it was so funny because there'd be the Migos, you know what I mean? Who else? Obviously your Drakes, your Travis Scott. There'd be like party music going. And and then it got to a certain point in the night, and this was like every time we decided to have these get together. So it's like, okay, we're feeling good enough, what I mean? We're tipsy enough to kind of change the vibe from uh rapping, kind of upbeat stuff to country. And it was always Billy Currington and yeah, that was just a moment, because I think that, like, that speaks to how good of friends we all were, because nobody, you know what I mean? Nobody was like, "Hey, what are you doing? You know, I'm gonna
Yeah,
change it." But I know
no, for
everyone was just
sure.
like,
Yeah, it was
"Billy," you know?
definitely the most country I've listened to. It was during that time. So for sure, it was one of those things where we're just like, hey, the song's popping. It's, you know,
Yeah.
it's not
And
Migos, it's not Future, but it's Billy. It's Billy. Let's go.
and yeah, then we ended up, like, just making that a tradition, which was really awesome. And yeah, but to kind of bring it back to anxiety, guys, whatever kind of type of anxiety you have, just know that, you're not alone. I know I've said this 1,000 times, but I could not preach that anymore, because you matter and you're important, and there's somebody out there that that needs you in their life. You know what I mean? And if you weren't around, they wouldn't be the same person. So don't ever forget that. Next
Yeah.
topic I want to hit on is just a lot kudos to you, is quitting bad habits. Bad habits, we all have them. We're all human, and we all try to work through the things that we got. Personally want to thank Eddie. I don't think he knows this to this, like, amount of detail, but you were like a big reason why I quit chewing tobacco. So for those y'all don't know, from like 18 to like 22, yeah, 22, 23. I just chewed tobacco because it got introduced to me in the military or in high school, but I didn't really do it in high school. Military, high stressful situations, I started doing it. It became a habit. And while we were in Turkey, I actually got Eddie to do it, and it was really bad. It was a terrible influence. Um, and as we were getting ready, at the tail end of that, he basically was like, "Yeah, dude, it's like I can't do this anymore." He's like, "My wife will kill me." I was like, and those words are just normal words, right? I kind of just like laughed it off, but for me, I internalized that and realized, like, well, what am I doing? You know what I mean? I have this little habit over me, and it was really an actual addictive habit, and I eventually, like, dug deep, and I was like, if my friend could do that for his family, I could do it for myself, you know?
Yeah.
And thankfully, uh something as small as that, you're able to help me through that. And yeah, April 29th, yeah, was the last time. So uh definitely it's been a minute, but I appreciate that so much. Um yeah, old
Yeah. I mean,
habits,
yeah.
if you want to
Yeah. Same
elaborate on
things. I mean, it was introduced to me in high school, and I go knock nobody that does it. I get it. It's relaxing. It gets your minds off things. So it might be one of those things that helps you with anxiety. Um, but it's definitely not healthy for you.
that.
So yeah, so I mean, it was introduced to me in high school. Football team, people. You got your varsity players that are like, oh, you want, as much as we like to deny it, we like to emulate people that are above us.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, on and off, and then of course, like right in the military, everybody's doing it. A lot of people are doing it, especially in our career field, because it's a lot of sitting and waiting. So something to pass the time. I know it got to a pretty bad point when I was a different environment, there are different places where I was working BDOC, and like my radio would go off, and I was like, oh man, all right, here we go. And I was like, I can't do anything before I do this. Or it was the end of shift, toward the end of shift, and my blotter wasn't done, and I had to tell
Yeah.
people to get out and shut up. And I just throw one in and just type my little
Start
life
typing
away.
away.
And then obviously being alone out there, or being by myself, or just hanging out, you kind of just, it just brings that vibe where you're just like, let's chill and throw that dip in. But for sure, my wife would kill me. It's gross. It makes your teeth look bad. Um, and I don't have the best smile, but I like to keep it as good as it can be. So,
I love
but
the honesty.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I remember we like cheered our last can, and we are like, all right, this is it. And we slipped up here and there, and it's gonna happen when you're getting rid of an addictive thing, like tobacco, especially, just because it's such a sensation. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't, I'll smoke a cigar every now and then in celebratory fashion, but it's not. I'm not out there craving to go outside in the cold to smoke a cigarette. So it's nice to just throw a dip in when you're by yourself inside. But yeah, it was definitely one of those things where I was like, I can't go home and do this. I don't want my kids to see me doing it, and I don't want my wife to see me do it or anything like that. So it's just getting over that was pretty hard, because you do run into those issues where you're just like, I just want to dip. Like that would make everything better right now if I just had a dip. So I've gone through, the cold turkey. I did start using, just to kind of relieve that nicotine craving. I started using like the Zyn and On,
Yeah.
just straight nicotine, and it just hits that nerve in your brain, and you're just like, you're good to go.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of the way that I've reeled back. And then drinking when I got home, it was one of those things that I really want to do, because it got pretty bad. I got pretty bad out there, where I just kind of wake up and have a beer. But I was a night shifter, so I wasn't drinking. I was drinking at like 6 in the afternoon, but it was my breakfast, and so that wasn't good. So getting home, obviously I can't be drunk around or I can't be drunk around the kids all the time. So just kind of reeling that back in, just getting your mind off of it, trying to figure something else to do. It's definitely, it's hard, but it's possible. So now I'll just I'll enjoy a cocktail with my wife every now and then, get some tin cup and Coke going, and then be good to go. But
yeah, man. Like I've only gotten drunk twice since I've been back. So I got drunk once whenever my roommate's birthday. One of the guys that stays with me. Yeah, it was his birthday, and I was stationed with him in Korea, so it was good, you know what I mean, to celebrate with him. And then the second time, what was this? It was my best friend Dayton. I just hadn't seen him in a while, and we started drinking, and that was really nice. But I definitely cut back, because like I said, turkey was bad. 2020, we didn't have much to do. There wasn't much out there, so it was a lot of drinking. And I
tobacco.
Yeah, I really I really brought it back in, and I definitely the thought of being hungover now, just like I would have to prepare in advance, you know what I mean? For that kind of thing. But what I wanted to say too, on a I guess on a funnier note, with bad habits, old habits, whatever case, whether that be drinking, smoking, spending money on, like things that you don't need to spend money on, fast food, all sorts of old habits, bad habits. Uh, as long as you're making it a point to say, hey, I'm trying to stop doing this, and this is the direction I'm trying to go, that is super important. And
you're gonna slip up, and that's okay.
Yeah, and like I said, it goes back to that humility, that vulnerability. But just know you're working towards something that's gonna get you to where you're trying to go. Don't ever stop looking at the destination of where you want to be, because that's super important. But I also wanna shine a good light, a funny note. 4th of July, 2020. Do you want to tell that story? Because you talked about drinking. That was the first thing. That was the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, fuck. I got woken up. I was late. I was supposed to be somewhere. Typical Eddy.
We work nights.
Yeah, typical Eddy. Late as usual. Get a knock on my door. Get phone calls. I had a bunch of missed phone calls, a bunch of missed texts. Where you at? And finally, I show up, and again, I just woke up, so I have not ate anything. And immediately a beer is in my hand. We're shopping. Sorry about that. No, you get her on your iPad, bud? Sorry. And yeah, just they're like, all right, we're shotgunning. And so what I had for breakfast for 4th of July was a shotgun beer. And then I had a taco right after that. But that was definitely interesting. So it was definitely different. It was showing up and just being like, all right, let's go. Let's do this. And, yeah.
Yeah, but you're already a few hours late. I was talking about
Yeah.
me specifically, just
Oh,
to
how deep you
a
were?
little funny story for the people out there. Like I said, I've grown to have the most humility that I could possibly have. So funny stories about me are fair game, and I love to hear them.
Yeah, I mean, man. Oh, and we're going out to get some food, and I have you in the back of the car, and you, it's we've been drinking for a while, and some of us have been drinking a little more than others. And I hop out and I'm like, hey man, what do you want to eat? You just looked me dead in the eye with your glasses crooked, and you're like 10 o'clock. It's like, all right, we're gonna get you pizza, bro. We'll be back. And then,
That's
but
so
yeah,
funny.
credit to you though. We got you some water, we got you some pizza, and you were ready to go for round two and keep
Yeah,
the night
it was
going.
super funny. It was
But
super
you looked
funny.
me dead in my eyes, man, and you said 10
Yeah,
o'clock, like you were for sure that's what you wanted to eat. I said, all right, bet, let's go.
yeah. So if you're ever feeling hungry and you're a little drunk, hey, just go ahead and get you some 10 o'clock. Get that in
Go
your
hit the
system,
spot.
you'll be fine, and it'll hit the spot. Yeah, man. But yeah. Before we close it up, I just want to give you major thanks. I promise you, don't know how much you've helped me in my life. Especially since uh we've like both left Turkey. It's been a real struggle bus, but we're making it every day. And I repeat, Nick of Time, episode 4. You, Eddie Gomez, was the main person. If there was one, it started with me, but if there was one that tipped me over to say, hey, just do this podcast. And yes, kudos to you, and I couldn't thank you enough for it.
I mean, it was something that I knew that you were capable of doing, something that you'd be good at.
Your
Um,
mic went out, man.
can you hear me? Yeah, so I mean, I just knew it was something that you were going to be good at. You're good at talking. You're good at getting stuff out of people, and you know how to, pick people's brains. So I was definitely glad that you took this route in your creativity, in your creative journey. It's definitely your episodes have been pretty spot on. I'm impressed with I'm a pretty adamant podcast listener or avid podcast listener, and seeing you start off, it's pretty good. The kids are up, so I'm sorry if
No,
they're in the background.
it's totally fine. We're about to close it out anyways. But yeah, man, I've always been good with like taking other people's skills and using them into mine, and that's big on this podcast. So yeah, thank you everybody out there for listening. Eddie, is there any last things you want to let everybody know? Any positive messages, wisdom, advice, whatever it may be, the floor is yours.
No, for sure. I mean, thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the platform to talk with you and for us to reconnect. I know us being pretty far away from each other, it gets kind of hard, like we talked about. But being able to reach out to each other, have each other's backs, no matter how far we are, means a lot. And I'm proud of you for what you've done with this. And I'm excited to see where the Nick of Time goes. And everybody tune in, subscribe, and like, and listen on Spotify, and share it with everybody. I mean, that's my last thing. Thank you. So
You're
for sure, I
welcome,
had a
man.
good time, great time.
I did too. I loved it. All right, everybody. This is the end of episode 4 of the Nick of Time podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate the listen. There might be some sound difficulties throughout this podcast. I apologize. We're still working through it. I do this off of a laptop and a laptop only. So bear with me. Love you guys. Take care. Eddie, you're the realest, man. Much love to you.
Later, man. Love you.
All right. Bye-bye.